My name's Nick Prince. I own Post Oak Barbecue in Denver, Colorado. We've been open for 5 years. Before you and I started working together 3 years ago, we were having, there were so many things we were trying online that weren't either trackable or we were having little success with, or we didn't even know if we were having success with those. And we weren't struggling to get people through the door, but we were struggling to track people through the door. And then you came in and we talked about the 3-tier system of offering a coupon to customers, getting people in, the logic, and it makes complete sense. And by the way, it makes sense to everyone I've ever explained it to. So we get a lot of great feedback on that. We get great reviews from it. We essentially, the customer acquisition cost is so low compared to doing it through traditional means and other online means that were not very trackable for us, that this is such a no-brainer. And we plan on continuing and mashing the gas in the future.
When we first came to you and I kind of, sat down in your restaurant and pitched you, like, why did you go with us versus the other people who had maybe approached you or who still do approach you every day through their emails? Because that's one thing I hear restaurant, owners complain about all the time is, oh, it's just another marketing guy. But like, what was it about MAZA marketing and the offering that really stood out to you, and why did you choose us?
Well, you made sense. First of all, you broke it down in a way that I could understand, not being a marketing guy myself. But it just made sense in terms of trackability, in terms of the actual process and what it takes to acquire a customer and have them be a loyal customer. And the system matches up 1-to-1 with every, and we've seen actual results from it. We see results on a daily basis. The fact that if a customer does visit 3 times, and they're happy with their food, and they're happy with their service, and they leave us a review and feel connected to the restaurant, they put it in their monthly and very often weekly rotation of restaurants that they consider as their inner circle. So we've seen great success from it, very trackable success. And like I said, it just made sense when you explained it, that it pays for itself, essentially.
So you kind of touched on this, but was there like a particular aspect of our approach or service that stood out to you at the beginning?
Yeah, you were very business like, this could be for you. This is not you. You wouldn't let me dismiss you in terms of just saying, no, we're not interested in doing that, because on the surface, not having a discussion, it does seem just like another marketing pitch. That is just an ad buy and just a coupon to give more stuff away and not know if we're seeing results from it. So you made it make a lot of sense to I kind of sat there and said, yeah, I'd be an idiot not to do this. Not only does it pay for itself, but it's a great way to track. It's a great way to acquire those email addresses that are so crucial for us, especially when we roll anything out. Just having those 70,000 people that we can go to it's liquid gold.
If you were to say to another restaurant owner who's like maybe on the fence about working with us or doing this, probably our click to table solution, what would you tell them?
Well, I would ask them what it takes to, how much money it takes them currently to acquire a customer, which I know they'll have pretty much zero answer for. What worked with me was you came and asked what my goals were, and we were trying to increase foot traffic, and this matched up great with that. We were trying to increase retention and also have a way, an outbound way to market our business and grow our brand. So if I was talking to somebody and those were even on the radar for what they wanted to do, this is a no-brainer for them. And it's on the radar for every restaurant owner out there. I know it has to be.
Yeah.
It seems like those should be the goals for every restaurant.
It should be.
All three of those things you described, yeah.
At the core of it, you really don't survive without that.
Yeah.
You certainly don't thrive.
No.
One of the core objections that we hear from restaurant owners when we're pitching them this initially is they get really hung up on the cost of giving away free food. And when I show them things like, hey, we give away 500, pork sandwiches for Post Oak Barbecue, they're like, oh my gosh, they're doing the math at like 500 times three. So like you're spending $1,500 a month on giving away sandwiches plus $1,500 on ads plus what I'm paying you guys. And like they get caught up in the metrics and the cost of all those things. Can you kind of touch on like what you're seeing as far as like a return on the money that you're giving away in terms of, the cost of a pork sandwich for you, or how you would kind of like explain to a restaurant owner that this is indeed worth it and you have to get over the fact that you're giving away a pork sandwich and kind of classifying that as more of like a marketing expense than part of your cost of your goods sold?
Sure. I mean, essentially what I had to do is I had to say, this gives us an at bat, right? It's up to us to perform when we're up at the plate, but you're looking for that opportunity. You're looking, if you have confidence in your business, you have confidence in the food and the service and really the whole experience, you just need somebody to walk through the door. So if I can do that for $3.85, by giving away, and yeah, it looks like you are giving away the house because you're giving away a big old, in our case, a giant pulled pork sandwich. But we've structured it in a way that allows the customer to naturally buy more things. Very rarely does anyone come in and just say, yep, I want my sandwich. I don't want a side. I don't want a drink. I certainly don't want to even talk to a bartender or anything like it. It just never happens. Be it to go, be it in-house, all of that. It's one of those things that induces more buying. And that's really, you make your margin back on that, but you're also, like I said in the beginning, that's how you show them how you perform and what you're all about.
So if you had to guess like what an average customer was spending when they come in with this pork sandwich for the first time, are they coming in alone? Are they coming in with friends? How much are they spending on average at your restaurant?
I would say on average, we get people coming in with at least one other party. And our average ticket size runs anywhere from $38 to $50. So if I can peel $3.85 of profit out of that to gain the rest, I'll do it all day long. It's a no-brainer. But I mean, even on a lunch crowd, somebody comes in for a sandwich, they're going to buy a side, which is $6. They're going to buy a drink, which is $3. And the margin on those is huge. It more than makes up for the sandwich. And then when you tell them they're going to get another coupon in the mail, it's another opportunity to come back and do that again and try something new. And B, they're super happy. It's kind of like we get asked all the time, what's the catch? And we say, all we need your email address to be able to send it to you. Like there's no catch.
Right.
And as you've seen through doing email marketing campaigns, using these emails, our open rate is crazy. In terms of how many people view the content that we send out, almost a third of the people view it. And I feel like that's, because we operate in the way that we do, and we have the food that we have, and we have the customer base that we have, but we've grown it through this, and it's just given us the opportunity to grow that base.
Yeah, and to just kind of touch on that, I was just about to go over kind of those growth numbers with you. When we first started with you, you had 4,982 subscribers onto your MailChimp, which was a substantial number. Many people don't have that much in general, but I checked it this morning and you're now up to 49,342 people that you can reach at the drop of a hat. And you've kind of taken those people off of social media. So that was one thing I was going to ask you to kind of touch on is like, what is the, if you will, like the additional value of this campaign that's come through having an email list of that size when it comes to things like, the Thanksgiving turkeys, the Christmas specials, the gift card sales, the winning of Westward Magazine 2 years in a row where you're emailing people and just asking for a little bit of love back in the form of a vote. Can you kind of touch on those things?
Sure. It's allowed us to grow a loyal customer base, in the sense of they don't really feel like they're being spammed. They're not being spammed, but they feel a connection to these emails. And, when it's multiplied by 50,000, and you have a third of the people opening it, it allows you to at least get the opportunity to win the best barbecue in Denver awards, and to show people that, yeah, hey, we're changing our menu, or we're offering a new drink or new hours or any sort of update that is pertinent to a customer. It's so hard to get your information out in a way where people will actually read it and digest it and then act upon it. And by offering that upfront value to get the email address, I feel like people are way more connected to the process, and they respond to the stuff we want them to respond to.
Definitely. And one thing I always hear is people like to put high scrutiny on the numbers here because our system is so trackable. They'll like to look at the numbers and get down to the nitty gritty. But one thing I've kind of noticed is that they tend to not, look at the other numbers, such as like a number that stands out to me for you in particular is last year. I remember we sold out Thanksgiving turkeys and you told me you were like $60,000 worth of turkeys in like a week or something along those lines. And then like it was Christmas briskets, like we're completely sold out. So like having a list that large is like such a value to you when it comes to those times of years. So I just wanted to like kind of like ask you what you've done with the email list to kind of create additional revenue for your restaurant.
Well, those are great examples because those, it's kind of lit a fire underneath some of our customers in the fact that they know we're going to sell out early, and they know we're going. So if they're on the fence, it kind of makes it makes a decision a lot easier for them. So it really has instilled this sense of urgency with people, and it has allowed us. It's allowed us to even market events that we have, like our whiskey dinner event that we had. I mean, we sold that thing out so fast. I never had any idea that we could do that. And that allows us to change our business. That allows us to operate our bar. That specifically allowed us to buy a barrel of whiskey and offer different offerings from our bar, and kind of, start the process of turning into, kind of a more serious whiskey establishment and things like that. So it's afforded us all sorts of opportunities because of the quantity of people that we reach, but the quality in which they were acquired as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't think about that as like you being able to kind of create offerings for yourself based off that. Just like you kind of have the demand and now you can supply it. It's like reverse of, putting something out there and just hoping that people are going to appreciate an awesome whiskey bar and a mezcal bar versus like what you have now is like a group of people who curate
it kind of puts an engine behind your ideas. You have a little more confidence going into it. You also have a little more bargaining power with the people that you're buying these things from. So your wholesalers and things like that, because they know it's going to move. They know that we're going to perform. They know the engagement that our customer base has. So it allows us to either negotiate better pricing or better perks or faster delivery times or all sorts of stuff. It changes the dynamics of the business for sure.
Yeah. And then, I mean, this could be on or off the record, but I was actually just talking to someone yesterday and they said that for a list of, I think it was 13,000 people, they were selling sponsorships in their email list for $6,000 to brands to kind of put their product in there. So like reaching out to like your whiskey people or any of your alcohol distributors and being like, hey, I have a list of 60,000 people that we're going to be promoting your special. We're going to create a cocktail special around this drink all next month. And we're going to email it 3 times to 60,000 people. So you'll have at least 60,000 impressions of your brand, not to mention people who are going to be coming in organically to our bar and trying your whiskey and, being able to buy it locally at Mr. B's or whatever it may be. Like you creating those partnerships with those companies, you could be charging them to give you whiskey for these drinks, and you could be making that additional revenue. Yeah,
it does kind of speak to the influence nature that we have when our brand is behind it. And people know that we don't throw crap out there and we don't do things we don't believe in. Things like that grow the brand, and there's all sorts of opportunities like that out there that should probably be going after a little bit harder.
Yeah, we should be charging these people.
I'll do that after this.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about that. Yeah. I pulled some data before we got on the call here, and we found out that the total number of customer visits that we've driven in the last 3 years, which we have been working together 3 years now as of 2 days from now. So it's a little short of 3 years, but we'll call it 3 years. Has been 22,299 customer visits that we've driven to your store. So on average, the campaign is driving about 637 people a month through your doors. and the total visits alone is kind of just insane as like a bare value of this whole thing. So I just kind of wanted to get your reaction on how much of an impact or how crucial is it to have those extra 637 people coming in a month, and what percentage of like your business would you say that even represents?
Well, I mean, 637 people a month is 637 new people a month is crazy. That when you look at our ticket size, it really that moves the needle in a meaningful way. And it also, it has this domino effect where people love telling the people that they got a free pulled pork sandwich. It's in so many of our reviews. It's in so many, like, hey, look, guys, there's no catch. They're not trying to nab you or whatever. So it's dominoing. We're finding creative ways to market it and to make that number bigger. Recently, like, we just created a bar coaster with a QR code that leads straight to the free pulled pork sandwich. We're passing those out at caterings because when we do a catering, it's typically 75 to 200 people. And it's normally, obviously, like, one party pays for that, be it a family member or an event or work. But I'm saying, hey, we'd love to have y'all come in, individually, and we have them come up and scan the QR code, and it works great. And people see nothing but value in it. We get some questions of, the old what's the catch deal, but the response to it is so easy and genuine that it just says, hey, we want to get a sandwich in your mouth. We're confident in what we do. We like our stuff, and we know you will too.
That's awesome. So yes, just kind of like touching on Google reviews real quick. I was looking at the data on that as well before, because you said that's like a huge part for any business. And right now you have 1,741 total reviews on Google. And when you started out, I want to say, let's see, 1428. So you had 313 reviews when we started with you, and you're now up to 1,741. What kind of impact has that made, if you can kind of touch on that?
No, it's huge. That, as you know, the value of those reviews is priceless because people check those before they come. And we're in such a niche market here, being a Texas barbecue joint in Colorado. So people naturally are going to come in and go, oh, this is Texas barbecue. This is Colorado stuff, and stuff like that. We get so many good reviews based on the value that we're providing, and the coupon is part of the value, but the food does speak for itself. The more opportunities we have to get in front of these people, the more reviews we get. And that just, I didn't know those numbers were so far apart over a 3-year period. So that's enormous. We live and die by those. I post them to our all team chat anytime they pop up, be it 2 in or 10 in. And it's just like everyone, it motivates our staff to do better as well.
That's really cool.
Especially when they see the volume of them come in, because we get them, anywhere from one review on a day. If we have a day that doesn't have a review anymore, I'm very surprised. They're like, something like, I wonder if we were open or anything. But we've gotten up to 9 and 10 reviews on a daily basis, and
that's awesome.
They reflect the 4.7 stars that we have out there now. That's, we're shooting for 4.8 here real quick. But that the number of reviews with praise in them is a huge staff motivator to just double down on this and make it better.
That's awesome. I love that you kind of use that internally. I haven't really heard anybody tell me that they share them with their staff, but I think that's great for morale. You touched on people coming in from Texas and saying, oh, this isn't Texas barbecue, but I would actually argue to say that, like, there's a lot more people on your ads or in your things that come to your side and say, hey, I'm from Texas and this is real Texas barbecue. And 100%. It makes me feel at home, which is super cool to see. I'm sure that makes you feel awesome as well.
It does. That's what we're trying to do. And the more people that do it, the better. And having the outlet to get that review in front of them, instead of just relying on the customer just to go in and, just leave a review out of the kindness of their heart, it's so much, it makes so much more sense because, it works. And that's how I leave reviews. It's got to be easy. It's got to be, I don't want to, I don't want to have to receive like 10-star service, to be motivated to go out there. I want to be, have this thing sent to me, a link sent to me that says, if you liked us, go and leave us a review. So, and it works, man.
And then
it
the
works.
opposite contrary of that is that if our system, the way it works, just for anybody listening to this, is after they're using their coupons, we're sending them a, hey, how was your experience? Thumbs up or thumbs down. If they click thumbs up, they say, hey, would you be willing to give us a Google review? Or if not, here's click a button and reply to us, privately. And on the contrary, if they had a negative experience, can you kind of touch on what the process is for someone if they have a negative experience and how you have dealt with that and utilized that to kind of prevent people from being disgruntled and leaving their public sentiment on Google?
Yeah, it definitely it allows us to take care of the problem, because it becomes a problem for the business if bad service is broadcasted to everybody, but we don't want that bad service to begin with. So we love to be notified of things, be able to correct things. So it gives us this personal outlet to make people feel better, recover them as a client, and then wow them the next time.
Yeah, and most people don't want to go out and publicly shame you, and I think they do appreciate being able to be, getting their gripes out, if you will, in private, before having to go to Google. Because a lot of people will be like, hey, come here all the time, like so and so happened, this, it's normally not like this, but then it gives you the chance to kind of be like, hey, come in next time, here's a $10 gift card on me, like rectify the problem and kind of get them back in, which is, I think, one of the more valuable parts of that Google review system. So I love that they kind of like utilize it like that. And so just touching on the ads, another piece of data that I wanted to pull for you is that since the beginning, you've reached a total of, we just crossed the 4 million mark. So your ads have been seen 4,018,000 times in the Denver market. You've spent close to $40,000, which is about a $1,100 a month budget, which is very healthy for, a business of your size with one location. And with that, it brings your cost per visit down to $1.58 to get someone to walk through your door. So that goes back to, like, if someone comes in and buys a soda, you're breaking even and profiting off of that. And instead of this being a marketing expense for you, this is now a revenue generating machine for you. So I just wanted to kind of bring those to your attention and kind of see what you had to say about those.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the fact that somebody's seen my ugly mug 4 million times. Just is both scary and crazy. Yeah, exactly. But it just that's wonderful. It's doing exactly what it was built to do, and it really does. It allows us to perform. That's I keep going back to it, but that's the one thing that the biggest problem that I can ever imagine me experiencing would be going, well, where's all the people? How do we get people in here? How do we do this, and how do we maintain brand continuity? How do we maintain a quality brand without giving away the house and just seeming desperate and things like that? So this is such a value add that, for both sides. And it's things that you've got to, it's the old adage, you got to spend money to make money. And this is, like you said, it's changed from an expense real quick into a revenue generating just beast. And we use it, it's our primary outlet in terms of like getting things out there. So if we need to expand anything in the restaurant, this is really how we do it. So it's totally evolved from how I saw it when you and I first talked. And I expect it to continuously evolve as well.
Yeah, so a couple of things I wanted to touch on that you kind of brought to my mind is that you said that it happens really fast. I know it's been a couple of years now, but can you remember kind of like how fast this sort of ramped up for you and how quickly you were seeing customers come in your door after we turned the ads on day one?
Yeah, time-wise, I don't know, but I know anecdotally, I had so many employees come up to me and go, well, we've got so many people coming in, like, we don't need to give our stuff away for free. It's just cheapening our brand. And I'm going, look, trust the process. That's how we got these. That's partially how we got these people to come in. It's a main reason that they're coming in. Let's not turn the faucet off. Let's turn it on. And it happened so quickly that my employees noticed just as fast as I did.
That's awesome. And yeah, I looked at that at the beginning. So in the first 3 months, so something that we're promising to our new clients is that we're going to be bringing them at least 500 customers through their door in the first 3 months. And to us, that's, that's a lot of people. It's not insignificant, but it does happen to be, on the middle side of things. That's the median for us of what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of people
Yep.
who are much higher than that. And in your case, in the first 90 days, you drove 1,047 people through your doors, grew your mailing list to 3,500 people. So of those 3,500 people, 1,047 of them came in the first 90 days to use that coupon. So that's something that we're promising to restaurants to kind of get people on board with us and instill some trust, because we are so confident in what we do that, we're willing to say, like, we can put 500 people through your door minimum, but it's likely going to be higher than that if you're driving something as valuable as like a pulled pork sandwich in your case. So the value combined with what you guys are doing there, it really speaks volumes.
Well, I think a lot of that goes back to, you kind of coached me through the process in terms of what we should offer. So having an offer that no one's really interested in, I don't see those numbers aren't going to be there.
Yeah.
So you and I worked closely together to create all three tiers of the system. And that first one just had to be a banger, and it had to be something of value to a customer. And, it couldn't just be me cheaping out, just saying, oh, no, I don't want to spend $1, things like that. So it was, a lot of that comes from your influence on it and the push to do it, and just saying, hey, we can change it if we need to. But let's go with something that people want. And we did.
Yeah, and I appreciate you doing that. That's like a certain thing. It's like there has to be a willingness with anybody that we're working with, and a lot of people will push back and be like, "Oh, I'll give them like a free side of fries." I'm like, "That's not going to do it." Would you go to a restaurant for a side of fries? Like, but
Right.
if someone's ordering or offering a pulled pork sandwich, like that's near a full meal, but it also entices the customer like, "Hey, I'm going to get a drink and also some sides and maybe an alcoholic beverage from the bar." So it gets that person in the door with something that's enticing, but it also kind of encourages them to try different things because their sandwich is covered. Now I can try maybe 3 or 4 different sides, or maybe I order some
Yep.
wings, or go for that beef rib that costs a little bit more money than I would typically spend. I'm gonna treat myself. So
Right.
I think that's kind of cool that you are willing to do that, where a lot of people are not. And that's one thing we're kind of qualifying our new clients with, is like, hey man, you got to be willing to put some skin in the game, because we are willing to put the skin in the game. We're guaranteeing we're going to get people through, but we can only do that if you're working with us, and you're as willing as Nick was here to kind of like put yourself out there a little bit. It should almost scare you a little bit that you're giving away something that valuable,
Right.
because if not, then people aren't going to go for it. So
Well, there's got to be that, that item that makes them go, yep, okay, well, today I am going to go there. I am going to disrupt my day. I'm going to go to a place I've never been to before. And I'm going to try something I've never tried before because I feel comfortable doing it. Because, man, the worst that could happen is I don't like my sandwich and I leave.
Right.
And then it's really just up to us to wow them and show them what we're all about. So it definitely has to be of value. Otherwise, people aren't going to feel the value. People aren't going to be, they're not going to know how much, because let's face it, at the end of the day, like, I value these people more than anything, because they're the ones that are paying our bills.
right.
So it's gotta be reciprocated in a way that makes them feel like, yep, I got a connection to this place. They care about good food. They care about me. They care about making everything right. And, and if you take that a notch up and you get a 5-star review from it, then all the better.
Exactly. Matt, did you have something to say? I saw your.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on what you said, where people often are short-sighted, and your own employees were going up to you and being like, "You gotta stop doing this. Like, we're giving stuff away." We've heard that a few times, and like what you said is so perfect in the sense that you have to trust the vision, you have to trust the process, you have to trust going from roughly 5,000 email subscribers to 49,000. You have to trust getting 22,000 new customers coming through the door, 4,000 people, individual people see your ad in Denver, becoming best barbecue restaurant twice. Like, all that stuff comes with all this notoriety and popularity and people subscribing to what you're giving them. And we do that. It's like, the employees like, we're giving away too many pulled pork sandwiches. They don't see everything else. They don't see the 5-star reviews.
Right.
They don't see the amount of customers coming through. They don't see how low and how cheap it is to actually get them through the door. So it's refreshing, and it's like nice to hear that from you, that you're trusting the process, you're seeing where it leads, and it just makes us happy when we're looking at the stuff to know that we're doing
Yeah,
it
because
right. Know that
I'm
we're
a
doing it
trust
right
but
for you.
verify guy, and I want to
Yeah.
show them why. It's not just, hey, why don't you leave that up to me type deal. I like showing people, like, look, this works, and here's why, and here are the numbers, and it's just, just if it was solely on paper, it would be working great, but it's involves everybody there, and it kind of, it attaches that. It first of all, it opens their eyes, but then it attaches that employee to their part in the process.
Yeah.
And especially when you get like an employee that's mentioned by name in a review or something like that, I'm going, you see, this is kind of like
Yeah.
it gave you the opportunity to show somebody how great you are, and it's it just works. It works great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and your
cool.
staff is amazing. That's one thing that people will scream to the mountaintops to no end on your Google reviews on Facebook. They just love your people, and you can tell that you've created a setting where that people love to work in that restaurant and work for you. So that's something that you've done extremely well that I want to commend you on, because it's something
Oh,
that
thanks.
makes a difference with restaurants. Like, I can go in and I can tell if the staff is miserable right off the bat from the way they treat me, and that goes all the way from the
Yep.
top. So you've set a
Yep.
a good example for your staff, and they love you and they love working there. So it's really awesome to see.
Yeah, it's been great. Obviously, you can't do anything without a great staff, but I always tell people my sole job is, if something's wrong, if you're not having at least some element of fun today at work, then I've screwed up, and I need to know. So you've got to be enthusiastic to be here, and you got to earn that 5-star review through being who you are, not through a forced interaction, not through because you can feel it, right? Like you said, you can feel it when you walk through the door.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, it's like looking at a house or an apartment or anything like that. Immediately. It's like, yeah, no, I don't want this, or I do want this, or everything. And we have to do our best, especially when we have new customers walking through the door, of saying, look, this is what you can expect. We're not like performing for you. We're just happy to be here.
Exactly. So, I know we don't want to hold too much of your time, but I kind of had a couple of questions that we wanted to wrap up with. Um, the one thing I was kind of curious about is, looking back over the last 3 years. You've been open for 5 years now. What kind of growth have you had over the last 3 years, as far as just like a restaurant, your revenue, um, going forward to the future? I know you're looking at multiple locations now. Can you kind of touch on just like
Yeah.
what kind of growth? And it's not obviously 100% attributable to what we're doing for you. Obviously, it's putting fuel on the fire. But what kind of growth have you seen over the last 3 years of working with us?
I believe when we started, we were at, well, it was an odd time. That was COVID. So
True.
that was probably, I mean, we were probably in the low, like just over $1 million. And our goal this year is $4.7 million in
Wow.
top line revenue. And it continues to increase on about a 30 to 35% basis in terms of top line growth. What's been interesting, and
awesome.
especially because the system does cost money, but speaking to the revenue generation portion of it, our margins have grown. We had, I think over the past 3 years, our top margin has been something like 21% margin, profit margin, and last year was 18%. But
That's great.
it speaks to people coming in for whatever reason, not the least of which is initially when they come in to get something of value for free, they buy other things. So we've been selling a lot of other things.
That's great.
So it's been great. The revenue, we keep saying every single year at the beginning of the year when we're doing our planning, that, yeah, well, we can't expect that sort of percentage this year, and it's probably going to top out. We're hitting our space limitations and things like that. Well, we haven't yet. So I would have thought that we would have maybe a year and a half ago, and I'm dead wrong in that thinking.
I guess to kind of wrap things up, like, what's been your favorite part of working with MAZA Marketing over the last couple of years?
I mean, aside from the system being completely scientifically and marketing sound, in how it's set up, how it's executed, the fact that no one can redeem a coupon twice, there's all sorts of safeguards built in. You have been wonderful to work with, in terms of, if we have a problem, boom, it's addressed immediately, taken care of. You and I text back and forth probably more than I text my wife sometimes. It's you've been more than willing to consult on, hey, do you think this is a good idea? What have you ever heard of this? X, Y, and Z type stuff. It's been great. I've never owned a restaurant before this, and you've made doing new things less scary. Obviously you can't pull the risk out of anything, but you can prepare as best as possible. And the wealth of knowledge that comes from working with you and your entire team is just, it's second to none. Not, certainly not to diminish the fact that this system works. It's like it works. I know it works.
Yeah.
It makes sense, and it's easy to do. It's a no-brainer. It's just, it's the easiest thing we have done to grow our business and give us the opportunities that we have wanted. So,
Love that.
Thanks.
That was a great way to end that. And we appreciate all that sentiment, man. It comes right back to you. It's like, we've been working with you for 3 years, and for good reason. We've fired a couple clients of ours just because they were not pleasant to work with. So it's not like we were working with anybody over here. And, it's been a pleasure to work with you over the last couple of years and watch your business grow and help you do things. And that's why it makes me more than happy to go out of my way to provide a little bit of extra value here and there. And, I get pumped for you. So we love to see our clients win, and you're definitely, doing it best of nearly anybody that I know. So congratulations on all your success. And, we hope you continued success in the future, and hope to be by your side as long as you need us. And someday you'll probably outgrow us, as some do. And that's perfectly fine too. So we hope that you get to that point. You're not married to us, but we'll stick around for as long as you want.
We got a long way to go there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much,
I
man.
appreciate everything.
Any final thoughts you'd like to add? I think we kind of touched on lots of stuff here, but any final thoughts?
No, I wish you could see how some people just totally that are not connected to my business, may not even be in my geographical area. When we talk about things that we've done to grow the business, to be successful, to win all these awards and do it, especially from a dummy that worked at a bank for 14 years before this and just decided to go out on wild hair and open a restaurant. That when you explain the process, and especially when I explain it as I understand it and I have seen it work, it's in a little different term. You're way more succinct and way more, you use the proper terminology with it. I just tell them what's happened. And people just go, wow, that makes all the sense in the world. Why doesn't everybody do that? And I think that there's a reason not everybody does that, because it looks scary. And it looks like it looks like, hey man, I gotta pony up and go into debt, or lose money or anything to make this work. That's not really what I signed up for. I can do it on my own, pull up my own bootstraps. It's so not the case. You explained it in a way that it made sense to invest the money in growing the business. Because if you're producing all this stuff and nobody knows about it, then, shame on you. That's not really a business. That's a hobby. So it makes so much sense in the approach, in how you do it, in the system that you have, and the support that you get. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So, that's all we really need to talk about today. I love that, all your answers were straight from the heart, clearly. So we really appreciate that, man. And we appreciate you. And I actually did want to ask you, if you could say it in 2 to 3 sentences to explain our system, because I get so bogged down in trying to explain to people that obviously I understand it in and out, backwards, upside down, with my eyes closed. But if you were to explain it in 2 sentences to a restaurant owner, what the system does, what would you say? Just so I can kind of hear how you see it and how you view this system.
Sure. I always tell people that it's been proven through science that if a customer frequents your place, 3 times has a enjoyable experience, that they added onto their rotation of known restaurants. That's kind of, hey, we want barbecue tonight, or we want Italian food, or we want burgers, or whatever. And the way we do that is we just collect your email address and we send you a coupon to come try our food, to try an entire sandwich. We will buy that meal for you. And then if you enjoy it and you use a coupon, we'll send you another coupon for free 5 wings. And we know that you're going to enjoy that. And then we want you back for a free dessert after that. And I always tell people that this is how we move people through the different categories of the menu. 5 wings is probably not going to fill someone up to the point of satisfaction. I'm just going to come in, eat 5 wings and leave. So it makes you order other things, or it prompts you to order other things. Of course, you're going to leave with the 5 wings. But if you're having a good time, if those wings are good, if that pulled pork sandwich is good, you're probably going to want to see what else is good. And so long as if you have your proper margins set up in your menu, that's the opportunity to sell that and make money. It pays for itself, and then it starts piling on top of it. Not the least of which is customers come back in between these coupons and they don't even use the next coupon. They will use the coupon eventually, but they are just going, oh yeah, you know what? I feel like a brisket sandwich today. And they try us out for that. And we deliberately went with pulled pork. Cost wise, it made sense, but also, that's not our brisket is our bread and butter. So I wanted to offer them something that was super good and really wanted them to come in, but I wanted them to return for our bread and butter. So it was kind of delivered on my end. I always tell people you can make this look exactly how you want it to. You can do your best to set up I don't want to use the word manipulation of behavior, but the suggestion of behavior to work for your revenue stream. And we've done so.
And that kind of goes to just kind of my last point here that you touched on earlier that I wrote down was during COVID. I mean, this thing is so adaptable and you can adjust things as you need to go. We adjusted it during COVID because obviously things were shutting down. We weren't allowed to eat in restaurants. We weren't allowed to go out, enjoy time with our friends. And so we were able to take the coupons and make them for it to go only. So people could come in, place their order and walk out the door with them. Can you kind of touch on how this helped you get through COVID in a way to kind of be able to adapt?
It allowed us to pivot and really kind of set up, just use it as kind of ammunition to fuel whatever sort of direction we wanted to go in. And that was the to-go sandwiches. And during COVID, I mean, you didn't get anything for free during COVID, nothing. And so we were showing people this value that, hey, we still are a place. Like, we're not going away because there's some magical disease out there. We want to offer, we're not going to change our business practices and what we think about you as the customer and us as the business just because this exists. So it allowed us to pivot and go at them and present to a customer the same feeling and the same, we got that feeling out of them. We weren't trying to be the saviors and help everybody out and feed the world for free or anything like that, but we wanted to show them, there's still some value to be had, and you still do have choices for dinner, and we would like you to add, we'd like to be added to your short list, and that coupon just worked like gangbusters.
Yeah, I mean, it was a time where it's like a lot of restaurants closed, as we know. Like, a lot of people lost their livelihoods, they lost all the money that they put in, and unfortunately, some people, their timing was terrible where they had just started their restaurant. So this was like a way, like none of our clients closed down. So anybody who was on board with this, we were doing dine in. We just easily shifted it to dine out, takeout only, and it was a way for people to kind of get people to still come into their restaurants, and especially on a time where everybody's sitting at home on their phones. So what better time to serve them an ad on their phone and say, hey, here's some,
exactly.
Want to get out of the house tonight? Tired of cooking TV dinners? Like, come over. We got you pulled pork sandwich. So it was like, I think the timing worked out. It was almost like better than it is now during COVID, which is crazy to say. But I mean, this was something that was like pivotal for people to basically shift their ways or mend what they were doing to kind of adjust for the time. So that was
it allowed us to reinforce the strength of the brand as well. That's expansion mode, giving away things. It's not retraction. And so many people were used to being restricted in life, seeing businesses close down and things like that. And we wanted to present a different picture and a different story. We were successful in doing so. And, it comes with offering people something. It's like, just because it got hard out there doesn't mean that, doesn't mean that you abandon all sorts of things that are making sense and working. It actually means that you should go harder. And that's kind of a scary thing to do, but it really did work out. And I think it does give a certain feel when you go, oh my God, this is like what they used to do, or what I used to see, or things. So it allowed us to become to have this immediate familiarity, and immediate, like, just lack of barrier. Like, there's no reason you shouldn't get a pulled pork sandwich. It gets freaking delivered to your house tonight. You click a button, give me your email address, and it'll be there. So it allowed us to do that. It worked great. It worked wonderfully.
Cool. Yeah, that was something I just wanted to circle back to, because that was, when times get tough, a lot of times marketing is the first thing that gets cut. And,
Right.
I've tried to explain to people, like, that's the last thing that should be cut in reality, especially something that's as measurable as this, where it's like, hey, if it isn't making money for you, if it's not making sense, please do fire us. But, like, when we can show you, like, the bottom sense of what's coming in and how much you're spending, and that it is making sense, then, that's why we started this thing. I was tired of getting fired. So it's been cool to kind of see it work. But it's like, what are you getting out of return of your social media management? What are you getting out of your return of, being in Westward Magazine, or whatever magazine it is, whatever publication, or even worse, bringing in these influencers who are posting to their fake followers and then coming in and not tipping your staff.
Right.
So it just provides an alternative to that. And that's, the value that we want to provide people like yourselves, who are putting everything on the line for their business and their livelihood and their savings. And you should be able to track your marketing spend down to the dollar. So it is what it is.
And that's been one of the great things is that we can tell how much this does cost us from an expense perspective, and how much revenue we get out of it. And so, it's kind of like, wow, maybe we should be going harder in it.
Mashing the gas.
And the transparency of it does alleviate that concern, and it also allows you to go, all right, I got some money for that.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.